Hey guys, so I have a couple projects for you today for alternative ideas for the March paper pumpkin. And before I get started, I want to remind you that celebration ends Friday the 31st. So if you want to take advantage of the 3-month subscription, you may want to do that now because one, you'll get in on the April kit, which is supposed to be a great surprise. It was designed by our CEO, Sarah. And you will get a free celebration item, plus you save a few bucks. I think it's normally $59, but you only pay $55, and that includes shipping. So definitely check that out. All links will be below. Also during celebration, it's a great time to sign up for Stampin' Up. So if you'd love to join I would love for you to join my team. So if you would like to, definitely do it before the 31st, because you will earn 2 free stamp sets in addition to your starter kit. So it's a great time to join. There's no commitment, so don't feel like you have to place or sell all these orders. You don't have to do anything. You can order your starter kit, never order another thing, and you have a great starter kit that you can keep. Okay, so here is the paper pumpkin. I did the video last week and I'll link it above. Here are the projects that were the intended projects of the paper pumpkin. Cute. After watching some videos, a lot of people aren't a fan of the color scheme, which I totally understand. I mean, this color scheme is not for everyone. It actually comes from the Playful Palette paper pack. So it is a little bit different, but it's the same idea. This is actually the same. And then on this one, you have these colors, but they don't have the Emerald Envy. So it is definitely some, a taste not everyone is going to like. I do like this for some of the patterns. I love paint splatter, but that's like totally 90s, 80s. I remember we would get shirts when I was little and get paint and literally throw paint on it to look like that. The puffy paint or whatever. So definitely not for everyone, but there are nice patterns in here. It's just looking at this can be a little overwhelming. I tried to come up with a couple alternative projects that you may like. Like for me, this is adorable, but I have no use for this. I don't have kids. I'm a teacher, but I'm not teaching right now, so I may have done something as little gifts, but with a class of like 20, 25, it wouldn't have taken me far, but I don't have a use for this, although it's adorable. So I came up with these 2 ideas, and I kind of had, to be honest, had a little trouble coming up with ideas. I watched, I kind of give myself a week to watch other people come up with ideas, and kind of hopefully that gets my juices flowing and I can kind of think of something. But I kind of just did these. I sat down and I'm like, let me just put something together, see how it looks. And I actually like how these came out. So I'm going to put these 2 cards together with you. There'll be a little different color scheme, slightly, but these are the 2 we're going to put together. I try my best to only stick to what is in the kit, but the only things I have brought in are cardstock, so for card bases, and I brought in a different stamp set because the stamp set that comes in the paper pumpkin is very small, the sentiments, okay, and I wanted something nice and big. So I did Thankful Thoughts, and I love this stamp set because it is 10 stamps, all having to do with thank you, and I think this is just something that you should have in your stash because you always could use a thank you card. So we're going to be using this stamp. Now another thing I brought in is some very vanilla cardstock because the color scheme in here is very vanilla. I'm also bringing in my layering circle framelit dies, and here's the one I chose to fit over the thank you sentiment. And then here are the ears. I just kind of wanted to show you guys the ears. These I will not be using. We're going to be using the blue kind of paint one. And here are the little cards. So this. And what I did was I cut them. So I made them into 2 pieces, and although these weren't originally together, this is the pieces left over that I had from these. So I'm going to use these up, okay? So I'm going to put 1 card aside, And we're going to work on this one, which is this card. So I'll kind of leave that there so we can have it in view. And you have Peekaboo Peach, and this twine came in the kit. I have my half of my little card. I have these little stickers that are the bunny ears, and then I have a Peekaboo Peach A2 size card base. So I'm going to take this piece and go ahead and stamp my bunny. And I'm using basic gray that came in the kit. I don't have a full-size basic gray, I have actually ordered it. But if you have the full-size Stampin' Up! Pads, my personal preference is to use those. To me, honestly, these don't stamp as well as the full-size ink pads. So my advice would be, if you have the full-size ink pad, use it. But since I do not, I will just go ahead and use my cube. I think the inking cubes are great if you're going to travel, or if you have kids, you know, throw them those so they don't use your good ink pads. So we're going to go ahead and ink up the ears, and I'm just going to use the ears that are straight up. I'm not going to use the one that's bent. Now, if you want to do the sticker, like I did here, what you do is you stamp the sticker with the bunny ear that's bent, and then you just cut the sticker out. You trim that up, and it works perfectly. Next, we're going to do the eyes, and I'm going to have the eyes closed this time. And then I'm going to do the nose and mouth, and I just love the little teeth hanging out, but I'll use a different one. And then we're going to do the whiskers. Next, I'm going to bring in the bunny ears that match the cardstock I'm using. Let me close this before I make a mess. So I'm going to use the Peekaboo Peach. So I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. Next, I'm going to bring in my card base. Now, with the way I did the twine, so you can see it here, I need something that's open on both ends. So I can't do my card this way. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and turn it this way just to give it a little bit different look so you can see two different ideas. So I'm going to bring my laminated, this is just a laminated piece of computer paper. That way I can wipe up my surface easily. And I'm going to use this sticky note to block off the top of my card base. I'm going to bring in Peekaboo Peach ink. My goodness. And then I'm just going to stamp up the eggs. And this could be random. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I'm not trying to be perfect here. You can do it a diagonal or do it randomly. You can cut this egg stamp apart and stamp them individually if you want more of a random sporadic look. Now the kit came with these little pennants, which are awesome because they fit a couple of the sentiments perfectly. Happy spring and happy Easter. But what I didn't notice last time is that these are white. So I don't want that big of a contrast. So I'm not going to use these. So I have a scrap of Very Vanilla. Now this Very Vanilla is even lighter than the one that came in the kit. So I'm okay with that. It's not as a stark contrast, and you can't really tell the difference too much. So since I used Happy Spring, I will go ahead and use Happy Easter, and I'm going to use my Peekaboo Peach ink, and I'm just going to pick a spot here. Don't ever get rid of your scraps. You know, the cardstock isn't cheap, so I keep every bit of scrap. And I'm just going to go ahead and stamp Happy Easter. And then I'm going to cut it out into a little pennant, just like what came in the kit, but with Very Vanilla. And when I cut a pennant, I just cut the center and then go from corner to the middle and hopefully line it up just like that. So I'm going to put that aside, put this aside. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and take my twine, just like my little Sweet Sugar Plum card. Now with this, you will, when you open the card, you will see the twine. So you don't want your ends meeting on this side. So what I do is I take my fast fuse and I just put a strip of it in the center. Once I get it going. There we go. There we go. And then I take my twine, I kind of plop it down on a sticky part, and I just wrap it. And then when I come back around, I touch it to the middle again, wrap it again, and then come around. And I want to make sure, I like having the 3 different kind of crisscross. So, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Go ahead and put that down. Come around again, come in the center, and then trim it off. And there we go. So when they open the card, they only see this. Okay. Next, I'm going to take this piece and my Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm just going to put one in each corner. Usually I don't like doing that because I don't want the middle to dip, but since that twine is there, I don't want to put a dimensional there because then it'll be raised. So then I go ahead and pop this down, making sure it's straight, of course. And then I take another dimensional and I cut it right in half. Take 2 halves, take my little sentiment here, and stick it on my little banner. And then go ahead and pop that here in the corner. That's cute. And there is the first card. So pretty cute. I do like these. And the only thing you had to bring in was your own card base. And then, you know, if you wanted to use different ink, you could. You didn't have to. You could use basic gray if you don't have any ink. So there is the first alternative project. Now with this one, here are my supplies. This is Dapper Denim. I think a couple times in my unboxing I referred to it as Night of Navy. So if I say Night of Navy, I mean Dapper Denim. And I'm using the Sweet Sugar Plum piece and the Sweet Sugar Plum card base. I am going to use the same, these are the ears for the bunny, for the bag. I'm going to use the same one as I did on this one because it includes all 3 colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ears, and they are scored in the center so they fold, but when you have your card put together, you really don't notice it. So what I want to do is I want to put down the center first. That way, this is my guide to where to put these 2. I don't want to start at the bottom and then have weird spacing. If you do accidentally start at the bottom, do the top and then do the center last. That way it's evenly spaced. So I'm going to take another one and just kind of pop it here. And then pop this one down here. And I make sure the spacing at the bottom and the top here is close to being even. You know, it's not perfect, it's not a big deal. And then what I do is I take the other side and I line it up as best I can to the one across from it. Okay, so there's that, and we can go ahead and do our twine. I'm going to use I don't want to use Dapper Denim, I want to use Sweet Sugar Plum. So I'm going to grab the Sweet Sugar Plum because I want it to match the card base. And I'm going to do the same thing. Since you can see the twine when you open it, I don't want any ends to show. So I'm going to take my fast fuse again. Next, I want to take my piece of Very Vanilla, and I'm going to use Dapper Denim because it's a nice, dark, really beautiful ink, which I have to say I never use. I always reach for my Night of Navy, but Dapper Denim is a nice, lighter blue, but still dark. Ink up my stamp, make sure it's all inked up. Go ahead and stamp it down. Perfect. Next, I'm going to take my circle layering framelit and I'm going to go ahead and cut it out with my Big Shot. All right, here it is cut out. It looks beautiful. I love that bold sentiment. So I'm going to take a few dimensionals and I'm going to pop up my circle. I'm going to adhere it on this piece. That looks good. And then, since I have the twine, I want to go ahead and use dimensionals again and go ahead and pop this up on my card. And there we go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this and found some other way to use your paper pumpkin if you weren't a fan of the projects that were meant for the kit. I will include all supplies that were not included in the paper pumpkin below, like the stamp set and the cardstock and the inks. So if you're interested in any of that, check that out. If you do place an order, please remember to use the hostess code so you can help me make further videos and also be a participant of my card kit club if you spend at least $50. So let me know if you have any questions and I will catch you next time. Bye.